at first glance this one's on me, so watch the video in real time and tell me I deserved it, and I'll tell you why I didn't. But either way, I hope this guy has second thoughts about getting physical with anyone else. He was a long way off down the road as I pulled out, and there should have been plenty of space and time, but, you know, I'm halfway across and I can see he's coming at me quickly and cutting across the lane into the space I'm aiming for, basically to force a confrontation. So, you know, I couldn't accelerate to clear the lane. He could have slowed down or let me make the turn and come past me normally, but he got the red mist because he probably thought I pulled out on him on purpose just to spoil his day, who knows. As it was, I saw his arm go up and fist come down and the dent, you know, appear on my bonnet, and I just wanted to get clear before he hit the car again. So this is my daily route, and I always look left and right before I get to the line because there's a clear view down the road and I can see if I need to stop or not. And my cyclist was level with the illuminated advert board opposite the Penta Hotel, but you know, and in the 6 seconds it takes from us seeing each other to stopping on the road, he covers a distance of over 70 metres. And according to the internet, if your average cyclist pedals along at 15 to 16 miles per hour, then I reckon my guy had been going way faster than that. I mean, he totally caught me out with the speed. And by moving across the lane, he left me with no place to go. And like I said, he could have come past me, but he chose to create a confrontation. This image shows the road from his direction of travel, and it shows the width of the road, and you can see just how far he comes over. And I was understandably upset by the time I got back home, and I played the dash cam over and over, and yeah, I mean, it looked all my fault, but at that point I was still baffled how he had covered so much ground so quickly, and in my head I couldn't help thinking he had, you know, like specifically sped up to close me down. I reported the incident to the police and sent in my dashcam footage because whether it was my fault or not, the cyclist committed, well, an act of criminal damage. I didn't expect to hear anything back from the police, and I mean, there wasn't much to report anyway, but it did make me feel less like a victim, and I did get an email response back from them. But then I heard nothing more for a few days, and I didn't really expect to, but there was a line in their email that said, you know, to contact them again if I could think of any more information to add to my complaint. And, you know, and by the Friday, having got more and more wound up every time I saw the dent on the car, I decided to track the guy down. I didn't have a plan other than to see if he used the same route at the same time each day. I mean, my gut said he did. And then, you know, hand that over and see if the police would do anything, you know, like maybe stop him on the street. Yeah, right, okay, fat chance. But it made me feel better actually doing something. So that Friday morning I dropped my wife at the station like I do every day, which is why I'm out so early, and I made my way back, and I parked up a few metres just up the road from where the incident happened those 3 days before, and I couldn't believe it when he flew past me. It was almost exactly the same time. Yeah. He was wearing the same clothes, and he was riding a very distinctive style, like pumping the pedals, going from side to side. But it dawned on me I'd got one thing wrong in my complaint, because I thought he'd sped up on purpose to close me down, but pretty obviously, you know, this guy just likes riding fast, and I thought I'd find out just how fast. So using the advert board as the start line and with a 7 metre margin of error, I calculated my guy here is doing 26 to 29 miles per hour, which is pretty quick. And the guy coming up behind him is doing 15 to 17 miles per hour, and then a bit later this chap came along at 17 to 19 miles per hour. There are 2 cars, and I took the leading car at between 22 to 24 miles per hour, and finally the bus is doing between 19 and 22 miles per hour. And then this last clip is an overlay of my cyclist and the one following him, showing my guy pulling away rapidly. I mean, bearing in mind where he was, that's a lot of speed right there by that junction. The cyclist went past me into Broad Street and out of sight, but there are only 2 logical exits from there, one onto King's Road and the other towards Reading Station, so I think I was pretty confident he used the same route every day, but it wasn't enough information to pass on to the police. You know, I needed to find out a bit more, you know, maybe where he was going, where if he was working locally, and be able to point the police right to him. But if I'm honest, I was just having fun playing detective, and, you know, I have an hour or so to kill in the mornings. before I have to step into the office. So, you know, there you go. But over that weekend, the next day, I had a second email from the police saying they had explored all reasonable lines of inquiry, not been able to identify the suspect, and so their investigation was complete. You know, I thought, fair enough. They put a tick in the box and that was that. Except at the bottom it said, should we become aware of any further information or evidence, we will review it and let you know if we intend to reopen this investigation. So I figured I'd stake out King's Road in Reading Station and see if my theory was good. So the next morning I parked at the top of King's Road, and that gave me a view of the bottom of Broad Street, and I waited a few minutes, but it was a no-show. And the following morning, Tuesday, I after dropping my wife off, I parked up and stood outside the entrance to Reading Station, and literally within 4 or 5 minutes there he was. He came flying down the road and towards me and towards the station, and then wheeled his bike into the ticket area, and I followed him in. I mean, there was no point challenging him directly. It wouldn't have achieved anything starting a fight in the middle of the station, but I did take some pictures without giving myself away, and one of them captured a phone number on his helmet that looked quite interesting, and I sent that on to the police. And as far as I was concerned, this was potentially far better than finding out where he worked, and I was right. I got a response back from the police very quickly. They said, I believe there are further lines of inquiry in relation to the mobile number. Then there was another email letting me know they had identified and spoken to the suspect, and then another sometime later saying the cyclist had attended the police station for an interview, accepted responsibility and agreed to pay for the damages to my car through what's called an out-of-court disposal order. I mean, for me, that's a result. I mean, it's not as though push bikes have registration numbers, so, he must have been truly shocked at getting caught. And the repair cost him £150, plus the time and stress of, having to go to the police station for an interview. And he was given until the middle of May to pay up, and he left it until the last few days, but I don't mind, because, let's be honest, it must have really hurt to make that payment. It's weird, but I've seen him heading into town on several occasions since the incident. I guess you just don't register everyone you encounter unless you have a reason to. And I know I'm strange going to all this effort over 150 quid, but I don't like losing face, even if it's to myself. And, although I had to hand it on a plate to the police, I can't fault their response dealing with it in the end. And like I said at the start, I hope the guy thinks twice next time. I mean, I've got dash cams in all my cars. My daily footage reflects the fact I'm a generally safe and considerate driver, but that doesn't make me immune to making mistakes. But, where are we heading when the first response to anything is a fist?